Alright, today I will show you how you can design embosser, typographic embosser. This one is the Rhino file, and this is the before boolean. I will show you how you can do that. And then this one has the places for the magnet. So once you put it together, it's gonna be stay together. For example, this is my student work. So you can see the embosser is designed, and where is it? Yep, this is a magnet. So once you put it together, it will help you to like registration, and also like you can keep it together. But the magnet is not strong enough to actually make an impression like this one. So first of all, you do need to have a design in Illustrator. For example, I'm going to open the demo file. So I have the letters here. Make sure you create the outline. For example, you can do View, Outline, shortcut Command Y. You can see the letters. Like this. Letter A, B, C, and also T. In this case, this one has a counter, but also depends on your letter form. This is a lowercase a, but it doesn't has a counter here. But B has two counters, like this. And also, in my case, I have a little piece here. This was 2 millimeter by 2 millimeter. This is 1 millimeter by 1 millimeter. So you can see, like, try to avoid a little too tiny details. If you want, you can use this one to compare the sizes as well. And then once you have it, also it'll be good to give a color for the pieces. So when you import your design to Rhino, you can see the color as well. Once you have it, one last thing is, if I check the document setup, this one is already set to, can you see it, 200 millimeter width, and height is 50 millimeter. So because the embosser will be approximately 50 millimeter by 50 millimeter, so when you design, when you use a millimeter in Illustrator, it will be a little bit easier to import. So AI file is ready. I'm gonna save it and go to Rhino file, and I'm gonna import it. File, import. There is the Illustrator file. And 1 millimeter to 1 Rhino unit, because this file is already using millimeter, so 1 millimeter will be 1 millimeter. And import. Once I have it, I can see the curves here. So one other thing is, if you just have like if a fill color like this, if you import it, you're gonna see the fill color. So before you import it, make sure it's gonna be the stroke color only, and don't have the fill color there. Okay, once I have it, I'm ready to design the embosser. And one more thing is, this is the little diagram for just description for the embosser design. There is all the specs for the designs here as well. The letter and positive letter will be 1 millimeter thickness, and negative letter will be 2 millimeter thickness, the depth. And then the thickness of the embosser will be 4 millimeter. And the magnet, we are using 2x4 magnet, but we do need to make it slightly bigger, so we are using 4.3 millimeter, and the depth will be 2 millimeter. The other thing is, I believe you can see the little shape here. So this is for the bottom one layer. So actually when you close it, you can see which letter, you can still see the letter outside. Yep, make sure use millimeter. And it's important, so align everything perfectly. So when you put it together, you can actually make an impression. If not, like things will be won't really make a good impression on it. And one last thing is, this is a positive letter and negative letter. It says offset 0.8 millimeter, which means the negative letter is supposed to be slightly bigger than the positive letter. And the offset, I will show you the command, is 0.8 millimeter, the tolerance. So you can actually make an impression. If the positive and negative one is exactly same size, you cannot really make an impression. It just need enough tolerances, which is the offset 0.8 millimeter. So I have the designs here. I'm gonna actually put it on the side. Trying to select everything because I like to use this view as well. I'm gonna put it on the side, or you can just create a new document as well. But for now, I'm gonna put it on the side. All right. I'm gonna use this letter A first. It's good to keep it in the center so you can rotate it and you can easily work with it. So first of all, we have the letter A, and there's two different ways. For example, you can just put a square and put it. Also, you can use the shape of the letter form and create something like this one as well. Alright, so I'm going to show you this one first. Once you can do this, you can also do this one as well. Alright, we have letter A. I'm going to select the outline first, and then type the command offset. Offset command, you can create a parallel line based on this curve, and what I'm going to, first value is 10. And then make sure it'll be rounded. If you don't see all the stuff, you can actually use this line, the bar, to move it down so you can see the full dialog box here. So I think it looks good, and I can do it inside or outside, but do it outside. Okay, can you see? Now I create the outline, and then this one, the thickness will be solid. Planar, extrude planar curve. Don't do surface. You can see this one as well, but solid. Extrude planar curve straight. And then we're gonna extrude it 4 millimeter. You can also do it 1, 2, 3, 4. Also, you can type the command here, number 4. It will extrude it 4 millimeter. Make sure always when you work on the Rhino file, I recommend you use grid snap and turn on the gumball, and this is the z-axis will be 0, so put it on top of this red line. After that, we do need this one. First of all, we do need to use offset command. As I mentioned, we will need to create a parallel line here. Okay, let's do the first one, the outline and offset. This time the value will be 0.8 millimeter. Can you see? I can do it. But for now, because this letter form is pretty heavy, so I'm not going to put it outside. Can you see? This one gets a little bit close. I'm going to put it inside. That's it. Create it. Click it. So can you see the red will be later negative letter, and this black line will be positive letter. So also that's why I recommend you use some color here so you can distinguish it. Sometimes if you use the same color, it's very confusing. Alright, first one is done, outline. Now to do that, now it's time for offset. Same, 0.8, but here's it. You outline, you did the inside. If you do it inside, it's not gonna fit. Do it outside. So you have to kind of reverse it. If this one goes outside, you need to do it inside for the counter. But if you do it inside for the outline, do it outside of the counter here too. Can you see now this one is fit here and the red one is here, which will be negative later. But this is for the A, but if you use like this letter or C or T, it doesn't have counter, just you need to do the outline once. But something like B, like this one, you do need to do the offset 3 times. For example, offset 0.8, same value. This time I'm going to do it outside. And same thing, offset inside. This one, offset and inside as well. So when you do it, extrude later, later, this will be positive, negative. This one, and purple lines will be positive letter. So let's go back to letter A. Once I have it, we do need to add something, which is the ring here. There are 2 ways. You can draw a cylinder and make sure this will be diameter, radius, diameter. The value will be different. In my case, I like to use a diameter will be 8. And end of the cylinder, depth will be 4. Can you see? I can do it. So that's, or you can also type value 4 here as well. Oh, wait a second. I think, yeah, 8 is a little too small. I'm gonna go for 10. Cylinder, 10, and 4. And make sure you have enough overlap between those, and then you can put create another cylinder, and diameter will be this time 4. No, too small. 6 or 5. Okay, and 4 as well. Okay. Later you can do the boolean, this one too. Or what you can do is, I'm gonna show you a different way. You can use tube. Alright, let's do diameter will be 10, 1, 0. Click, and then the inside will be 1. You can do it 5. You see, and then the depth will be 4. So I'm gonna do it again. Tube, 10, 5, and then this will be 4. Enter. Can you see? I made a ring, and here is it. So once I have this one, we need to do the flip it. I'm gonna put it on the side here, and I'm gonna drag this one. In my case, I'm using the Option key. Once I have it, I'm going to use a front view and flip it. You can also use a Shift key to turn 180 degree. Can you see now? We are ready with the positive and negative side. Oops, I forgot one thing. I'm sorry. We do need to put the place for the magnet. We are going to use cylinder, and let's put cylinder here. Again, like the diameter and radius very different. Can you see that? Radius is 2.5, diameter is 5. That's the same value. Make sure it's a diameter, and the value will be 4.3. Actually, we are using 4 by 2 millimeter, but we do need to make it slightly bigger than that, so we can actually insert the magnet. 4.3, and then end of cylinder, the thickness will be 2. Oops. That's 2 total. I can make it 2 millimeter like this way too, but I'll show you. Cylinder, 4.3, 2. Done. Can you see now the magnet is here, so I need to move it up because we do need to, magnet should supposed to be here. And then I'm going to put another one here. So we're ready. Then I'm going to duplicate it. Same thing. Let's flip it. In my case, I'm using ghosted mode, so I can see through. If you use the wireframe, it's really hard to see the three-dimensionality. Shaded is fine too, but I cannot see what's underneath. That's why in this case, I'm using ghosted view, so I can see what's underneath here too. So we do have magnet here, but can you see this one is actually the bottom? So we need to move it up because magnets should facing each other. This one and this one. All right, now what we need to do is extrusion. So this will be the positive. Select one, click this one and this one, and solid, extrude planar curve straight. The thickness will be 1. You can do it 1 here. Also, you can type command 1 here as well. Once you have it, move it up here. Can you see? It's positive right now. Then the negative one is here. We're going to use red one. Select this one using the shift key to add it to the selection. Solid, planar extrude curve. Make sure it's solid. And this time it will be 2 millimeter. In this case, it's already stay at the top 2 millimeter here. All right. It's here. The last, not really last, but one more thing is, can you see this one is 2 millimeter? We do need to add something. For example, go back to the. Can you see? You can see the letters here. It's really subtle. But for that one, we will duplicate this one. I'm using Option key and put it here because we are using Snap Grid. It stays here. We will move 0.3 millimeter. To do that, we're going to use command called move, M-O-V-E, and it's asking point to move from, which is like somewhere here. Then we can move it. Can you see? But every time it's 1 millimeter. And we want to move 0.3 millimeter. So 0.3. If I do that, I can only move 0.3 millimeter. Can you see it? It's exact distance, and then we can use this z-axis and click it. So this is 1 millimeter. Now this is 0.3 millimeter. I think we are ready to do the boolean. One more thing I like to tell you is probably you want to know like how you know the size of this one. You can use a command called dimension, which is just D-I-M. And once you do this first dimension, I'm going to use, for example, here, approximately, and I'm going to shift key, approximately here too, and then click it. It will show the size. It's 52 millimeter. Yeah, it's okay. Like it's around 50 millimeter. If you want to make sure size of this one, also you can do dimension. But also, if you specifically want to know the diameter of this one, the command is diameter. And click it, and it will show 4.3. And for example, click it, 10 millimeter. Can you see here? And 5 millimeter too. So you can use the DIM, which dimension or diameter, or if you want to really measure something, distance. If you do that, click this one and this one, it will show the distance as well. But distance, it will just show you. But dimension, if you do that, it will just show you like what's the dimension of this piece. Alright, once I have it, I'm ready to do the boolean. But as you can see, it's really tricky which one is I need to do the boolean, which one is not. So what I'm gonna do is this magnet, this magnet, this magnet, this magnet, because we do need to do the boolean. I'm gonna use a layer. For example, you can use layer 1 or layer 4, either will be fine. Do the right click, change object layer. Once you do this, can you see it color has changed? And this one too. Actually, we have two extrusion. The letter, change object layer, and actually we have the other one at the bottom. Can you see this one as well? This one, change object layer. Alright, we are ready. So we're going to do the boolean of these pieces. But one thing is, once you do the boolean, you cannot undo. So I recommend you do the boolean very at the end. And also for this one, I'm going to select them all and duplicate it. Just make a copy of the pieces, because we're going to do the boolean for this one. But if something happens, you can use this one again. Okay. Alright, let's do the boolean. This one, select the piece. Boolean difference, just magnet and magnet, and done. Okay. See, we remove this one. Now we're going to do boolean as well, difference. Oh, make sure you have the delete input, because if you don't, once you do the boolean, the pieces will stay there. So delete input, the top one, the negative letter, magnet and magnet. And we have the other one at the bottom. So click this one too. Once you're done, hit enter. Okay. Can you see? Now it's a little bit tricky to see the shape. So what I'm gonna do is use a rendered view. Can you see? Positive letter, negative letter, and there's a subtle piece thickness here, so it's 0.3 millimeter. Once you have your design, select them all, not all, like just one set. Go to File, Export Selected, and STL, go to File, and letter A, and export. Make sure always use export selected, not export. If you do export, you're gonna export everything. Tolerance, either 0.1 or 0.2. You can preview. This is 0.2. This is 0.1. Can you see? 0.1 is actually a bit more detail. And binary, export it. Once you do it, you will see the design. I have it here. Oops. There you go. Can you see the positive, negative? You have this. Right, that is most of it. Make sure you put your design on. The Z is 0 here. Let's go into the ghosted view. And the other letters will be fairly straightforward, this one. But B, as I mentioned, you do need to do it offset for both counter. And then this one is, again, I'm using offset 10 millimeter, so this one is using the outline of the letter form. But if you don't, you can use this square, the cube, or square, or you can use circle and other kind of like organic form as well. Other than that, once you have the piece ready, you can open it with the slicer. I'm going to show you quickly. Okay, slicer. I have the design here. Make sure mark 3.3 millimeter, and then let's slice it now. Once you slice it, make sure it looks good at the bottom. Then print like this one. It will take approximately about an hour, depends on your design. Then I think I mentioned it before, but if you want to do the 2-color print, for example, like only this, I'm gonna put it here, no, here, do the plus sign, and do it. Can you see it now? One color, orange, second color will be red. The color won't be orange and red, but depends on what filament you feed. This and this color will be different. And you can slice it again, export it. It shows the time. Total time will be 47 minutes. Color 1 will be 45 minutes. Color 2 will be 2 minutes approximately. I think that is most of it, and yeah, that's the design part. Please let me know if you have any questions.